Under the Bed by Libby Knight. It was around 10 p.m. on a Friday and I was walking home from a late shift at work. As a girl living alone in New York, you have to be careful. That night, though, everything looked alright. I was living on King Street at the time, which is normally pretty lit, but the street light outside my house was out. I didn't think much of it because sometimes the kids on my street throw rocks at them. I unlocked my front door and took off my shoes. I then turned the kitchen lights on and made a quick pot noodle. I ate it while reading my favorite book, Misery, written by Stephen King. I read about a chapter, then headed up to bed. I remember the lights also being out in my bedroom, but I didn't think much of it, and I climbed into bed and fell asleep. All night I couldn't sleep because it felt like there was someone kicking and pushing on the bottom of my bed. In the morning I checked it out and there was nothing there, so I just guessed I was imagining it. I woke up around 10 a.m., went downstairs and turned on the news. The news was never good, so I don't know what I was expecting to hear. Anyways, that morning on the news, people all over New York were hearing about the disappearance of a young girl, Susie Wellborn. It truly is a shame what happened to her. Young Susie was in her bed and her parents were downstairs watching TV. Susie came downstairs and told her parents that there was a monster under her bed. Most little kids say this, so her parents checked under her bed and there was nothing there. They told her to go back to bed and they headed back downstairs. Later that night, something must have happened to her, because in the morning the little girl was gone. She simply vanished. I didn't do much for the rest of the day. The only thing I remember doing was changing the bulb in my room. I went to bed like normal that night, and just like the night before, it felt as if someone was kicking the bottom of my bed. By the next night, I had had enough of this nonsense. I had set up a night vision camera to try and catch something. To my surprise, I caught a tall, dark figure of what looked like a man but definitely was not human. I've never seen anything like it. This creature had long limbs and fingers. It was curled up, trying to fit under my bed the best it could without poking into the light. His curled up long legs were up against the bottom of my bed, pushing it up. In the video, I was sleeping right on top of all of this. Just before the sun came up, it was maybe 4 a.m.-ish in the morning. This thing looked right in the camera with its piercing yellow eyes and pointy teeth. This thing clearly had no soul and no heart. It was looking right at me. As soon as the sun came up, it vanished. I don't know how and I don't know where, but it was gone in the blink of an eye. When I started to look into it, the only thing that came up on Google was the fairy tale of the boogeyman under the bed. The only problem with this is that the boogeyman was a fictional character meant to scare little kids before bed, but what I saw was definitely real. With further research, I started to come across more people with similar stories as mine. Their descriptions were exactly the same as mine. This creature had long limbs and fingers, piercing yellow eyes, and long pointy teeth, and it felt like it had no soul and no heart. Unfortunately, all those people who reported this are now dead. I went to the website called namethiscreature.com where I found its name. It's called the Dover Demon. The Dover Demon is a tall creature that comes out every 10 years to feed on people by hiding under their bed. I was reading this on my laptop while sitting on my bed. I searched how long the Dover Demon will stay before going back into hiding. I read that it will only stay for 1 week. Including Susie's disappearance, it had been 6 days. So I had to just get through this one last night. I didn't sleep the whole night, but at 3 a.m., something started to crawl out from under the bed. The only difference between me and all those other victims is I knew what was coming. So I slept with a bat, and when it came on my bed, I whacked it in the head and ran out the house. I waited until the sun came up to go back in the house. I checked under the bed and there was nothing there. And that, kids, is how your grandma survived the Dover Demon. Okay, lights out.